Hello, hello, and welcome back to Kim Talks. I'm your host, Kim Hayden, and I am super, super excited. You know why? Because today I'm actually back at home after 2 weeks on the road, and yet I still showed up. I still talked to some amazing women, and it's not going to stop yet because I've got amazing women I want to share with you. Another great gal. So, you know, resilience is all about your past does not define your future. And there is so many great opportunities here to talk to women from around the world who are inspiring in their life, love, and business. But before we dive in, today's episode is brought to you by the Queen of Resilience Shop. It's our online store. It has a bit of sass and a lot of fun. So straighten your crown, shop around, take some time at the Queen of Resilience Shop. So today's guest is Carrie-Lynn, and I'm actually quite excited to dive into this conversation because the reality is things are shifting out there, and we need some insight from Carrie-Lynn and her expertise. So Carrie-Lynn Hotson is a retired HR expert who has created an interview coaching business. She has worked for years as a coach, supervisor, and trainer, and really enjoys helping people understand the interview process and selling themselves confidently in an interview. And let's face it, we never know when the interview opportunity will arise. Right, ladies? So, welcome. I'm super excited. Let me just jump back over here. And Carrie-Lynn, welcome to the studio. How are you today?
Oh, I'm really happy to be here.
Awesome. Now, Carrie-Lynn, you have a Southern name, but you're not
Mhm.
quite so South. So, very first thing I like to do is I like to give a reference, kind of a framework as to who our guest is. Can you share with us a little bit of who you are?
For sure. So my name is Carrie-Lynn Hotson. I'm currently living in Sudbury, Ontario. Born and raised more in the Ottawa Valley area. Came here for job opportunities 25 years ago. Isn't that incredible? And I've had a great career. The last 7 of which I was an HR professional supervisor, manager. And I just learned what passion I had for people and helping people really hit that top layer of who do you want to be? Let's get you there. And that's really what's helped me create all of this.
Awesome. Awesome. So, HR.
Hmm.
Now, you're talking to somebody who is, I'm going to be fully transparent, I'm completely unemployable. That's why I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. I'm sure most people look at me and go, okay, whose department gets this gal, right? But so tell me a little bit about what you do because you're training people for job interviews, right? You're teaching them, and I didn't realize that there was like a skill set for job interviews. So share with me what you're doing.
Right. You know what? I think that's such an important point because nobody's trained in interview skilling. I mean, we go to school, we spend a lot of money, let's be honest, on getting our education, getting some work experience, but then nobody really helps us sell all of that experience and those skills and that knowledge to our next potential employer, the person that we want to hire us. And so, unfortunately, as an HR manager and being a mom, so there's where my passion comes because I would be sitting on the other side of the table and my heart was breaking. I was watching people who've invested so much time, money, effort into creating that fantastic resume that comes across my desk. I bring them in for an interview and they don't know how to do this process. They've never been taught what an interview really is about. They don't know how to give me really definitive, defined answers that match the job I'm asking them to prove they can do. And it was heartbreaking. People, you watch their dreams literally crumble. You know, you've only got one of these jobs. This opportunity is not going to open up that often. You can tell that they've probably had other interviews that didn't go well. And so my thought was for the employers ourselves, we need people to be skilled in this. And for people, I want them to feel like they can do this. And so I started the interview coaching business to help people out.
Amazing. Okay, so okay, before we jump into the why, I want to actually I'm gonna stretch this interview coaching kind of
Yep.
thing because I believe that for entrepreneurs, every opportunity is an interview opportunity. And with where we are within the great resignation, so we are seeing uh, un, unforeseen shift. And we say unforeseen, but the reality is we've been shifting from the industrial age to the age of knowledge for quite some while. And we know when we talk about brain and brawn that women tend to rise to the front when we talk about the brain side of things, how to multitask or move through multiple things. And we're seeing like more women become doctors, more women are becoming pilots, more women are becoming all these jobs that have been traditionally male jobs because of the way we can move through processes in our head. However, we're starting to see women come in as entrepreneurs. More women over the age of 40 are choosing not to go back to corporate America post pandemic. What could they learn from your offering, from what you teach, so that when they get that elevator pitch or they get that job opportunity, which is not across a desk, it could be at the grocery store where they meet the right client, it could be in a live stream where they get an opportunity.
Mhm.
What are some of the top 3 things people should always keep in the back of their head when they are interviewing?
Okay, so I think I'll start by saying I am one of those women. So, yes, and I'm at 50, not 40. So I have just recently retired and I am doing exactly that. I am now experiencing what it's like to be that entrepreneur, to have to go out and meet people, to network. And I love your analogy that it literally is like an interview, because the number one thing I tell people in interviewing is an interview is a business transaction. Wherever you're setting, it's a business transaction. You are trying to sell your skills, knowledge, and ability to someone, and they're trying to figure out, are you the best return on investment for me? Are you my ideal candidate? Are you the person I should be hiring for this job or this project or whatever it is? So you're absolutely right. It's an interview. And when it comes to interviewing, there's a few things that people most commonly need some help with. Number one would be the confidence to actually sell themselves, right? Confidence is tough. Um, and sometimes I think as women too, we've learned to have these conversations with people, but they're more like conversations. How are you? I am great. But we don't get to the definitive detail of what we need to say and why we need to say it. And here's my sell and here's my offer. It was extremely uncomfortable for me to start with that whole spiel and how to do it. But in an interview, really, that is what we're doing. So I love the fact that I'm actually in my own discomfort right now going through this, because then I can truly help women who are trying to do the same thing. So we need to build your confidence. And we need to do our research. And this is big for interviewing any job that you're going out for. I need to know about Kim. I need to know what business she has. I need to understand what it is that I could contribute in that conversation that she and I are going to have. So whether I'm meeting you at the grocery store or I'm going to a networking event, I need to do my homework. And so if it's an entrepreneur trying to do that, do your networking, talk to people, figure out what you know, figure out what you don't know, figure out who you're going to need to approach, talk to other people, ask them, what should I say? Ask them, how should I approach it? You need to do all of this research ahead of time so that you've already figured out what it is I need to bring across in those, those conversations. Because you might have 5 minutes in the grocery store. You don't want to waste it.
Absolutely. So let's go to that network and research. So a lot of times you walk into a room, you don't know who's going to be there.
Yep.
I know from, having sold gazillions of houses in real estate and, been, you know, I've always been in the interview spot, right? Every time I went to get a listing, I was interviewing. And I learned very quickly that emotions buy, logic justifies.
Mm-hmm.
So, what would you say for somebody who's walking in cold into a networking opportunity? And there's so many out there through Meetup, Eventbrite. There's so many opportunities. And every opportunity you get to be out there, say yes, as long as it's legal or moral. That was not my line. I stole that, just so you know. It's so good though. It's like I gotta say it. What would be your rhythm, because you're going through this yourself right
Hmm.
now,
Yep.
when you can't research everybody? However, there is potentially an opportunity within that networking for a job option, for, that to create that sell. What
Yep.
would you say that how to prepare for that networking?
So I think one, you really need to know, what is it that I'm trying to bring across? What am I trying to sell? What is my offer? Who am I and why am I of value to you? And then you need to figure out what you said. Where's the emotional pressure points? What are those pain points for people? And ask specific questions. So it's kind of interesting because in this scenario, we're almost flipping. It's like, first, I'm going to be the interviewer because I need to ask a couple of questions to engage some conversation from you. And then I'm actually going to be the interviewee and respond. So it's quite the dance. And I think it's something that people need to practice. And one of my slogans is practice for success. You need to practice this. I have a morning lunch engagement on Friday, and that's actually what I'm going to do. I'm going to be kind of practicing with somebody that will be at a really big networking event that I'm going to next week, so that I can kind of do this, because I need to practice my questions. So please tell me about, and in my case, what I'm interviewing about is businesses who are having issues with retention. And so I come in and I help you figure out what those personnel issues are, and then help you with retention and increasing your profits. So obviously, I want to ask some questions around that. Tell me about your business. Tell me about how many employees you think that you've lost in the last year. What do you think that's cost you? Oof. Now we're going to get to some pain. And then I better be very ready with some very detailed answers, statistics about why I think I could help them, how I would help them, what my offer is. And I literally know that I'm probably going to have 5 minutes of their attention. I think it's important too that fake it till you make it. Believe in yourself, right? The whole
Yeah,
imposter syndrome, you just got to do it. It doesn't matter if your throat is dry and your stomach is like flipping, you just got to do it. But if you practice, you believe it more and you will
absolutely.
stumble, right? Practice, get somebody that you can practice with that's going to say, okay, that was nonsense. And that sounded like, I don't even know what you were saying. Like you went off on a tangent and I was off daydreaming and looking at other people. I mean, be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
And it's funny that you bring up retention, because
Mm,
I just did a 2-week road trip.
mhm.
Okay, who's crazy here? 9,000 kilometers and 90 hours in the car with my husband. It's the first time in 10 years we've done 2 weeks away from the home.
Wow.
However,
Congratulations. Still
thank
married
you.
too.
I'm
Yeah.
not in prison and he's not dead. We're doing good. But one of the things I'm seeing in the States is people are actually looking at shutting down their storefronts. They're looking at shutting down their businesses because they're unable to get staff.
Right.
And when we're looking at this, when you're talking to, let's say it's somebody that has 12 people in their staff, it's not a large company, but each person is critical for the continuation of that business.
Right.
uh, People are dropping off. What are some of the ways? So we're going to flip this dialogue. What are some of the ways that employers
Mhm.
can retain great employees?
So one of my selling pitches, Kim, would be that I would tell them about my book. It's
Awesome.
called Knowing Who You Lead. And this is the whole premise that I've spent 25 years as a trainer, as a coach, as a leader. And I've really done a lot of work. I've talked to employees, so many employees, about why are you leaving organizations? I mean, as an interview coach, I get to meet the people that want to go somewhere else. So I literally have done my own research. Why are you leaving? What is it that they could have done differently? What do you want differently? I just had this conversation last night on the phone with someone who was looking to apply for another job, not because they really wanted it, but because, they just want something different. So the whole premise of my book and what I present to leaders is we need to get to know who you're leading, because if we do that, we can figure out individual ways to engage them. Employees who are engaged, 75% stats show us they will stay with that employer. They're going to stay. But often leaders are so busy with processes. I've got all these things I have to do. I've got schedules I got to do. I don't have time to talk to the people and figure out who they are. And yet, ironically, because we didn't do that and meet their needs and interests, we lost the employees we needed. So, what I'm
Interesting.
doing is really educating them on why we need to kind of flip the switch. The way we've always done our leadership isn't working. We know that.
Mhm.
Our employees are not who they used to be. Their needs are not, it's not just throw more money at me, throw more money at me. Maybe I need a flex schedule. Maybe I need you to understand that I'd really love some personal development. Maybe I need a performance appraisal. You haven't done one in 10 years. So I don't think I add any value to this organization. And you're shocked to find that out because you've never had that conversation with me. You had no idea. So there's a lot of things that I would explain to employers about we can flip this. I guarantee you, if you bring me in, you will find out things you had no idea. You did not know were actually impacting your retention.
That comes to the coaching side of things though also.
Yep.
When I talk to top athletes or high performing, people who are in 8 figures and greater, they all have a coach. They all have somebody to lead them to next level because
Yep.
you don't know what next level looks like unless somebody shines a light on it for you. Even Tony Robbins has a coach,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, um, for those who are, how do you find a good coach? I think that would be my big question. There's a lot of people running around right now saying they're a coach because the pandemic has opened up opportunity. It has changed the way we do business. It has demystified the term. It has made it so it's easy to kind of put stuff up and say, "This is what I do," right? Easy to hang a shingle. How does somebody qualify a good coach?
Okay, so Kim, this is a perfect example of what we're talking about. Perfect. So I'm at a networking event and I'm presenting myself as exactly that. I'm a business coach and consultant, and I'm meeting all of these different leaders who have different businesses, different sizes, and I'm trying to quote, sell myself to them, sell my services, right? One of the questions I know and they have is, well, like, why are you any different than anybody else? How are you any different than all of these other coaches that I've seen online or all the other books that have come out? How are you different? So I need to be able to answer that. All of your entrepreneurs need to be able to answer that. And so I'm going to do it in twofold. So the question was, how do people find a coach? I think you need to do your research. You need to read the material and the value that they're putting out and see, does it fit with me? Does it speak to me? Does it match A, where I am in my life right now, and B, really my values and how I want to operate? And I tell people in my book, literally, if you open this book and you say, oh, I've already read this. Oh, I already know this. Please put my book down. Stop reading because we're not going to work well together. I need leaders that are willing to be vulnerable and want to learn and really want to instill and empower their employees. And if you do, then let's have a conversation. So that would be my first sell. That's how I would explain that to the person. How do I pick my coach? Find one that matches you. The second piece I say is, I love what you said. Everybody needs a coach. I have a coach right now. Everybody needs a coach because we don't know what we don't know. And the analogy I use in the book is hockey, Canadian. Hello. Of course, all analogies have to go with hockey, right?
Yeah.
So my role, one, is I'm going to sit on the bleachers. A coach needs to first observe what's going on. Like, you don't know what you don't know. So I'm just going to watch. I'm going to watch how this team gels with the other team. I'm going to watch how you coach that team. I'm going to watch a game and see how things went. And then I'm going to sit on the bench with you. I'm not just going to throw you a book to read or send you on a training course. I'm going to sit on the bench with you and we're going to figure this out. And when there's a tough part in the game and you're not sure what to do, well, let's talk about some other strategies. If you got two players that are butting heads, then let's figure out the conflict because that's something that I'm skilled in. I can mediate. So I would, in my interview or my networking, I would be explaining to them how I'm different than another coach. I'd be giving them analogies and I'd have to give them proof, right? Here's examples of where I've done it. Here's what the results were. Here how I think I can help you, but I need to learn more about you. So let me sit on the bench. Let me sit in the bleachers and watch your team. And then let's just have a conversation and see what you need.
Absolutely. Canadian. Tim Hortons, just so anybody out there, if you see a Tim Hortons that are coming to the States, that's Canadian.
Yes.
Um, you know, So okay, so before we jump into your why
Mhm.
you have chosen, because you are literally walking the path that so many are walking right now. But before we
Yep.
jump into that, I'm going to ask everybody who's watching this, who's listening to this, take a moment, please. And if you are liking where this conversation's going, if you've picked up one piece of information so far, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. That's all I'm asking. If you want to send me money, you can send me money or Tim Hortons or anything like that. But all I really need is for you to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And and we'll just keep these conversations going with amazing women like Carrie-Lynn. So, Carrie-Lynn, before we talked about who you are and what you do,
Yep.
okay? Now, we all have reasons we do what we do, right? I'm the eldest child and I've ADHD, I talk all the time. I love interviewing people. I love meeting people. I love, and it's the easiest brand to get behind because I'm always promoting other brands. It's awesome. So, but I want to know your why. You have retired,
Mhm.
so you must be uber wealthy and ready to just go to a yacht because that's what people do when they retire, right? Or is this instead of being retired, are you have you intentionally shifted? You're still working, you're just working in a different trajectory. Can you share with me why you've chosen now
Yep.
to do this?
Yeah, for sure. I see it as a pivot. And I think the beauty of being female and in your 50s is, guess what? We give ourselves permission to pivot,
Yeah.
and we invest in what is your purpose. And I think we kind of all hit that stage once maybe kids don't need us as much, or we're not quite as focused on dragging everybody to hockey and 1,000 activities and doing all the household chores and all that stuff that also goes with being a professional and running that whole piece. You get to just take a breath and think, what's my purpose? And that's what I hit. And I kind of had to remind myself what it was. And my purpose really is to empower people to reach their highest potential, whatever that potential is, whatever you want it to be. I'm not going to define it for you. So if you're a teammate or the leader of a company, or somebody who wants to become an entrepreneur, or somebody who wants to shoot for their first job, or I meet a lot of people who have done one job for a long time and they really want to try something else, well then let's do it. That's the whole purpose. I absolutely love what I do. I'm loving every minute. I keep saying I'm spinning a whole bunch of plates and I don't really know where they're going to land. And you know what? Who cares? As long as you follow your purpose, do something engaging every day, meet fantastic people, it'll all come to be. And we don't have to be in control of every minute of every day and have it all scheduled out. Just let it see what's going to happen. And it's been a lot of fun. I'm really, really enjoying it. And when you wake up excited about your day, that's what it's all about. And I think that's what the pandemic taught a lot of us, right? It's,
Yeah.
you know what? I need to take a deep breath. I need to figure out what my priorities are and what's my purpose. And a lot of people in leadership, I find frustrated. They're exhausted. They're burnt out. You joined leadership because you wanted to be a leader, but you're not feeling like you are engaging the way that you want to, maybe with your employees, or things aren't happening with the business the way that you wanted them to, then it's okay. Let's just take a deep breath and figure out what's going on, and we'll move you forward. We can do it.
Absolutely. And I think you spoke earlier, and I've heard this in a couple other conversations. A lot of times people are not asking the right questions of their employer.
Yep.
Um, I was having a conversation with another gal, and she said that one of one of her clients had asked for a raise, and the manager said no.
Mm,
And this person walked away and just thought they weren't going to get a raise. They didn't ask the question why.
exactly.
And had they asked the question why at that time, they would have not had the angst of, oh my God, oh my God, oh my gosh, where am I at? This is so bad. I'm never going to make any money. I'm never going to get. They would have found that the raises actually were done in quarterly sections, and they had to wait six
Mm,
weeks before they could enter, and that they absolutely deserved money. And then I've also heard several times people saying that you're not asking enough. We're not asking for enough money. So in these types of conversations, when you're coaching people to be better interviewers or
mm,
interviewees,
mhm.
what are some of these strategies around asking the right questions and asking for the money?
Right. Yeah, the money question comes up quite often. Um, and I think where again, it all comes back to that research point. I'm the owner of the business and you're asking for more money. Well, this is a business transaction. So I need to know that A, it's going to make me profit and it's a good return on investment for me. That's what I need to know. So you need to prove it to me. If you feel that your value is X, then tell me why. What is it that you can still contribute that maybe I'm not utilizing? Tell me about how coming into your company, I can leverage my knowledge and hit the road running. You won't have to train me. And in fact, I can increase your profits by 10% in the next quarter by doing XXX. Well, now I think of it as a money transaction and think, okay, yeah, that makes sense to me because if I don't get them, they're going to my competition. So maybe I will give them this. But if you don't explain it in that way, or I've done my market research, this type of job is this, I have X number of interviews, but I want to come to your company and be genuine. Why do you want to come to this company? Is it just because, or do you actually like their values, where they're moving, their work with the environment? Well, tell me that because it also tells me that maybe you'll stay with me if I give you this money, right? So you just have to think about things from their pressure point. What's the pressure point for this employer? You can't just ask for money. They don't have a money tree. They need to know that it's worth their investment. So explain it to them. Tell them the why.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid. If you
No.
believe in your brand, you won't
Mhm.
be afraid.
And
So
you are your brand.
absolutely. You are your brand. And I think that's the most interesting thing over the last few years, the gig economy, the hustle culture,
Mm,
sitting behind our computers. And I think that's the younger people, I believe, get this right off the bat because they've been in technology, they've been in this space for quite. But especially women over 40, we're all sitting here going, okay, I'm a brand, what does that look like? So off topic here, off topic, but I want to go down this road because it is Kim Talks resilience. And I believe that women are an incredibly resilient species. And I know that I have yet to find a single woman, not one, not one. I'm still looking that does not have an incredible story of resilience, that they would not be sitting in the chair they're sitting in and having the conversation with me
mhm,
without that moment of resilience.
mhm.
Would you be open to sharing a story of resilience that has helped shape you into who you are and what you do?
I think it was probably just before hitting 50. I mean, I really had kind of hit that emotional plateau. Um, and I was surprised. I was working hard, but I was burning out. I didn't feel inspired anymore. I didn't feel invested in what I was doing, which I knew wasn't fair to the people that I'm working with, the people working for me. And I couldn't figure out why. I'd done so much to get to this point. I felt like I had proven myself. I had gone back to school again. I'd done extra courses. Like I'd done everything that I knew how to do. And it took a lot of self introspection. And I believe very highly in, I think, at all points in our life, sometimes we need to go and talk to somebody. If it's a professional to help you just kind of figure things out, do it. We go to a hairdresser because they're fantastic at their skill set, right? I can't cut my own hair.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't come on this podcast if I cut my own hair. I have a fantastic hairdresser. I love you, Lisa.
There you go.
Um, so that's the profession she's very good in, and I go to her. Well, if I need somebody to help me figure out, in this case, interviewing, or in my case, it was just figuring out how do I get re-inspired, then go and talk to somebody. And that's what I did. And the pivotal aha moment was saying to me, what's your purpose? Find a purpose every day. And so I wrote it down. Find your purpose every day. What's your purpose? What's your purpose? And what you do is when you start to do that, all of a sudden you see that a lot of the things you've written down have common themes. And everybody's going to have their own common theme. For me, it was helping other people, help them, coach them through something, talk them through something. Those were the moments that I felt, I got this. This is who I am. Okay, well, then you need to believe in yourself. Transition is a real thing. Absolutely. Do it. You need to figure out what you want to do and just give yourself permission to do it. I think that is resilience because it's often very scary to do it. But you know what? Just be courageous, believe in yourself, and surround yourself with people that believe in you. And I think that's really, really important. If you have a bunch of naysayers, go find your cheerleaders. And if you do it, we've all got them. We've all got those girlfriends or good friends that you can give a call to. And they may ask a couple questions, but in the background, they are your cheerleader. Surround yourself with those people, do the work, find the people that can help you, and go for it. Just do it. And
Just do it.
I promise you will feel 100% better. I feel 10,000% better. I love every day,
Absolutely.
every day.
I totally get it. I mean, it's hard to make a shift,
Yeah.
but you know, growth comes through pain.
Yeah.
Giving birth to our children. If somebody told me how bad it really hurt to have a 10-pound baby boy, yeah, that would not have happened. Um, so I always like to tap into books. We have a lot of there's a lot of studies that prove that people who listen to podcasts are also avid readers,
Yep.
right? So I always like to fuel people with books. So we're going to go back to the book you have online.
Mm-hmm.
B, we're going to talk about what your book you have coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And then the C, your last book, number 3, I would like you to share a book that is your go-to for inspiration. So again, share with us what your book online that you currently have available.
Yep. So the book online is called Rock That Interview, and it helps people. It's an ebook. I purposely made it very affordable for people because, again, I want you just to learn how to rock that interview. And I've given you a whole bunch of examples, a whole bunch of insight from my perspective, being on that interview panel, of things that you can work on in your preparation.
Okay. And what's coming up?
This one, it's called Knowing Who You Lead. It comes out hopefully in July, August, and it is designed both for employers and leaders. From an employee perspective, I love what you were talking about when you said, what are things that your employer doesn't know? What are things you didn't share? That was actually one of the survey questions I did as research. And I literally give leaders unbelievable examples of things people wish they had told you and why they didn't. So it's pretty insightful, and I think it really will help. Love to read, love podcasts, often listen to a lot of audiobooks. So I have like so many books I can think of. But one of the ones that kind of like boosted my resilience was Abby Wambach's Wolfpack. And Abby is people should know, affluent soccer player, US champion. And she talks about leaving, just very similar to what we're talking about. She left her tribe, she left soccer, and she had to figure out, well, what do I do now? Who am I? How do I brand me now that I am someone by myself? And she spoke of, you need to find your wolf pack. And I thought, she's absolutely right. And for females who are entrepreneurial, trying to do it on your own, you need to find your wolf pack.
Absolutely. And asking for help
Yep.
is not a sign of weakness. It does
Oh,
not
no.
say that we're not intelligent. It does not say that we're less deserving. It means that we're open to moving forward collectively. My favorite quote, I have a couple. One is that resiliency is this is my personal quote.
Mhm.
Resilience, the definition of resilience is that your past does not define your future.
Mm.
Right. And in this case, where we're talking, just because you have 20 years in corporate, it does not define where you spend your next 20 years. It may
100%.
embolden where you go. But my favorite all-time favorite is an African proverb. And it's, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And I think as solopreneurs, as coaches like yourself, where we sit in a silo for so many hours every day working on stuff that we don't get out. And this is where coaching up, networking,
Mhm.
really getting out, make it a goal that you will do if you are working from home by yourself, that you're doing 2 networking events a week, even if
Mhm.
you're just going to meet up, even if it's totally out of your vertical. I w I showed up at a pub for a inventors networking night because there wasn't another one to go to, and it was all these guys and me, and I just sat there and I interviewed everybody.
Mhm.
I learned a lot.
Mhm.
I learned a lot, but what it did is it gave me an opportunity to engage and share who I am and see what they responded to.
Right. Good idea.
So, when we're looking at this, so I've just shared my North Star, my quote. What is a quote that inspires you? Eventually, I'm gonna write a whole book on famous people like Carrie Lynn, and this is her quote. Just saying. So you may be in a book someday. Who knows?
Thank you. Mine's pretty brief. It's just stay curious.
Oh,
I
perfect.
it was advice that I heard actually in writing my book. Because hearing from other authors, they're like, oh, it's excruciating. You have your little baby that you write, and then you have to hand off that manuscript to other people, and they're going to edit it and give you attitude, and it can be very demoralizing. And the advice I was given was just stay curious, and it completely switches the way that you think about things. It's so everything you're doing, if it seems like a little intimidating, if you have to go to that networking event, you have to meet, people you've never met, just stay curious. And it's genuine. And then if I'm curious and I'm talking to you, well, then it just flows that conversation more. And
Absolutely.
yeah, you just have a great attitude about it. And you know what? Hey, if it goes well, it goes well. And if it didn't, well, I wonder what could I do different?
You're not dead yet. It's
There
okay.
you go. You haven't forget it.
It's not you're that's my whole thing. There's only a couple things guaranteed in life. That is death and taxes. Everything else is a learning opportunity. So,
There you go.
learning, where can we find you, Carrie Lynn?
So if people are interested in job interview coaching, it's exactly that, jobinterviewcoaching.ca. And if you're interested in some of the leadership coaching and some of those coaching, hockey analogies that I'm giving you, it's knowingwhoyoulead.com. And I'm on LinkedIn too, so it's easy to find me that way. Love connecting with people there and learning more about what you do too.
Amazing. Thank you, Carrie Lynn, for joining today and giving me some insight and some inspiration to just be a little bit better when it comes to communicating. Always be curious. And you know what? Do your research, folks. Know what you're walking into the best of your ability. Um, and have a backup plan in case you can't research. And just know where you're going and be prepared. Have the confidence to ask the right questions. Again, Carrie Lynn, thank you so much. Um, Folks, I'm Kim Hayden. I'm your host here. And I want to share the next time you're feeling a little bit of your resiliency lagging, be sure to listen and lean into our resilient community. You can join us easy, no money, no cost, no credit cards, no surprise renewals, nothing at resilientgift.com. Download your free app. We have a brand new magazine coming out this month, fully revised. I actually got a professional, folks. That's pretty awesome. It's not me doing the cut and paste. But you know what? Do subscribe, do get that free magazine. I promise to keep it free for you. My whole goal is to spread the amazing messages of resiliency and really help the world just live a little bit better. Now, if you have a story of resilience, DM me your story. DM me at Resilient Series on Instagram. You never know. It may be the right story to get on this podcast where we celebrate and showcase female founders, coaches, entrepreneurs, authors, speakers, and those who aspire to be any and all of the above. Until next time, I'm Kim Hayden, your host here at Kim Talks Resilience.